us had any idea what human trafficking was. But last October, we became aware of an event held at Town Green Park by the Montgomery County Coalition Against Human Trafficking. And it was one of those God things that kind of said, go to this thing. And I think we had just become guardians of an extremely troubled teenager, our granddaughter. So we went. It was so informational. And everything that all the speakers said, every one of them, from law enforcement to survivors to the DA's office, we looked at each other and said, that's our granddaughter. Spot on. So everything that all our suspicions, we found out that was much, much worse than we could ever have imagined. And then before the event was over, another God thing. There was this one booth that just kind of pulled us over for some reason. And Becca wasn't even standing in the booth, but something says, go there. We met her husband and talked, and we just knew somehow or another we've got to connect and do more things. And oddly enough, we started seeing Becca everywhere then after that. So it was definitely a God thing. But that night when we left the event, we got home, and that afternoon, and Dawn actually emailed, we did what Laura Bond said, says even if you don't know for sure, call. And so we emailed, and by golly, within about 10 minutes, she was calling us. And that got the ball rolling for education and things, and all the things that we didn't know, and we're about to find out. But Dawn can shed a little bit.
So we're here tonight as a family who we are still going through this. That was back in October when we heard what trafficking was all about, what the signs were, when our suspicions were realized. And as a family, you go through, I tell people it's almost like the 5 stages of grief, because at first, when you first realize, you come to the moment when you realize you are correct, what you think is true, you want to hide it, you're in denial, you're afraid, what is the community going to say? I've been here 30 years. I didn't know who to call when this happened. But you just have this fear of being judged. We're a good family. Things like that don't happen to a good family, right? I mean, that's the things that go through your head. And you go through a process, and I got to a point where I was angry. I was really angry. How can this happen under my roof? She's on a cell phone. It's happening through social media. It's happening with her friends at school, because we took the phone away, and what happened? She came home from school the next day with another cell phone, an iPhone, and said a friend gave it to her. Well, I'm sorry, who has an extra iPhone laying around? That's what I said to her. When she finally was lured out of the house and what I call fell off the grid, we had gone through this process and been introduced to Hands of Justice, and I reached out to Becca because I said, I don't know how to navigate this system. We've done what we know to do, which is call the police. You call the police and you file a runaway or a missing person, whatever. She was 17 years old. She turned 18 this past April. We had investigators, we had agencies that Becca had connected us to. So as much as Becca does for survivors, she's helping us as a family navigate as well. And she's making connections for us to be able to make a difference. Families aren't talking about this, guys, but families are being impacted. And what they need to know from you, from us, is it's okay to talk about it. There are people out there suffering, struggling, dealing with this all around you, people that you would not expect. So I encourage you, if you know the signs because you're a supporter of Hands of Justice or any anti-trafficking and you know the signs, if you see something, say something, report it. Like Randy said, Laura Bond told us at that event, even if you suspect, one of the law enforcement officers said, we'd rather you be wrong than not report it and be right. We don't want another family to go through this. And it is hard to navigate the system. It is hard to deal with the laws that are in place because when she turned 18, things changed. Resources changed. Our investigator went away because he was part of a nonprofit for children. Our case is very unusual because her trafficker took her across state lines, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children called me to tell me she's in Atlanta. I said, how do you know that? There are ads placed for her in Atlanta. Ads on the internet. I had the investigator text me a link to an ad and ask me to look at it and see if it was her. I'm gonna tell you right now, you never wanna see your daughter, your granddaughter, anybody in that light, ever. That's not anything I can ever forget. I really encourage you tonight to get involved with Hands of Justice in any way that you can, whether it's through donation, whether it's through volunteerism, start a drive, do something, become an advocate and speak, because we've got to create the awareness. I applaud all of you survivors who are getting up here tonight, because you know what? It takes so much bravery, so much courage to do that, and I so appreciate hearing your stories. And I know one day, because I have faith, my granddaughter's going to be standing on this stage doing the same thing. Thank you guys.